Hello everyone, this is Manjula Devi P, Assistant Professor in GFGC Kanakpura. In this session, we are talking about BBA 6th semester Strategic Management of Bangalore University. In that, Unit 3, which is about strategic planning. So, in strategic planning, we are discussing the topic, the strategic planning process. So, how does the strategic planning process happen? Even before that, we'll discuss about what is basically strategic planning. Before strategic planning, let's see what is a strategy. In the business world or in the present scenario about companies, business, their products, services, we often come across with the term strategy. Oh, they are following this strategy. Oh, this is a great strategy. This is the best strategy to manage the situation. Isn't it? We keep hearing the term strategy. Then what is the actual meaning of strategy? Strategy is basically a game plan or the course of action that is supposed to be taken to tackle a particular situation. That's called as a strategy. Strategic planning means before we take up any strategy, we have to plan it. Like we have to see what is the strategy should be, when it has to be implemented, what are the variables that has to be considered while framing the strategy. Like there are many things which has to be planned before we finalize a strategy. Okay. So in this session, we are discussing about what is the strategic planning and what is the process of preparing this strategy. Strategic planning is a management activity often used by business to better focus their energy, establish priorities, and strengthen operation to achieve targeted goals. So it says a very clear term, what is strategic planning. You might have come across with planning before in any other management subject. Planning is basically deciding the future course of action. Same way here, a strategic planning, basically it's a management activity. So what do they do in this? In this, they focus on their energy, establish the priorities and strengthen the operations to achieve the targeted goals. Any planning, any management activity is mainly towards achieving the targeted goals. Now, in order to achieve that goal could be a certain percentage of profit or certain market share, or to cope with a situation, or to come out of a crisis. The targeted goal could be anything. Now, in order to achieve that goal, how can we energize? How can we prioritize the operations? How can we put all the energies into one place, the strengths that the company has in one direction, and how to strengthen the operation? In order to get the objective achieved, we need to have a course or we need to have one set of activities. So, how to strengthen each step of such activity? So, this is called as the strategic planning, where it's a management activity where business focus their energy, establish priorities and strengthen their operations to achieve a targeted goal. Then strategic planning process. So, how does this planning process happen? Strategic planning process is essentially a list of steps that managers should follow to complete and implement a strategy within a company. So, this entire process is basically about how do we list out the strategy and how do we implement the strategy within the company. Suppose if we take any scenario, take any company for that matter, let's take Lifebuoy. Okay, Lifebuoy was basically a soap manufacturing company, and maybe I still remember when I was a child, we had this Lifebuoy soap in our house. It used to be like a brick, even the red color, and it used to be like this big, and it used to last for months, in fact, if there are only 4-5 people in the house. Okay, that was the most popular soap in those days because it's economical, it is long lasting, and of course it's what do you call it comes with a promise that it cleanses the body and prevents from all those bacteria and viruses. Okay, this is a healthy soap that was supposed to be positioned as. Now if you see Lifebuoy today, that means the entire Lifebuoy company, it's not the same. They have changed. I think the size of that soap has reduced, and it has come with many variants like Lifebuoy Gold, Lifebuoy something. There are some other variants than the original Lifebuoy has come. They have come up with the hand washes. Okay, so what I am trying to say, the company has changed its products, its services, its course of operations according to the requirement of the present scenario or situation. Over a period of time, they have opened themselves for the changes which is required, which is demanded from the environment, isn't it? Suppose if they would say, no, I just want to sell that same basic soap what I used to, then definitely by this time they would have closed, because it's not at all the fragrance of Lifebuoy which was there before was not at all like attractive. Today so many soaps have come with a lot of fragrances, with a lot of positioning they have come up with, isn't it? So they also have changed according to the change scenario. Like this entire change or the plan which they have come up is called as the strategy. They have come up with the plan about how to capture the market, how to retain the customers, how to cope themselves with the changing scenario. So this entire thing is called as the strategy, or the planning before this is called as the strategic planning. So now keeping this in mind, let's see how this entire strategic planning process happens within a company. Yeah, before we go to the strategic planning process, the steps, we have to see the approaches. For this entire strategy formulation and implementation, there are mainly two approaches which the company can follow. First one, top-down approach, which is the most popular, and most of the strategic planning is happening under this approach. The second one is bottom-up approach. Top-down approach means, so here the strategy formulation, strategy right from the planning, right from identifying the change that is required and planning and implementing, everything happens at the top level, and then they would implement it to they would convey the strategy to the middle management, and then it goes to the functional level. So it's top-down approach where the major things happen related to the strategy formulation and implementation at the top level, top-down approach. Then we have something called as bottom-up approach. So in this type of strategic planning, where the basic things are done at the bottom level, because they are the people who are actually there at the operational level, maybe at the level of marketing, at the level of production, at the level of operations, or whatever the functional area. They would identify the need for a change, and they would formulate, and they would inform it to the top level, and there again the strategy planning happens. Okay, so here happens from a bottom level, and the information goes to the top level, and finally the preparation of the strategy happens at the top level, but the identifying of the need and change and all such variables happens at the bottom level. These are two stages. Again, in the coming sessions we have different types of strategies. Okay, so many type of strategies are there. So in that, most of it we would see that it happens from the top down approach. Yeah, now let's get back to the planning process, strategic planning process. How does a strategy comes into picture, comes into operation? First stage, basically it is divided into 5 stages. Again, not necessarily that it is rigid to this 5 stages. It could be, maybe some may add one more stage, some authors, or some authors may restrict it to 4 stages. So it depends. This is just for understanding. We are dividing the entire process into the stages, not very rigid that it has to be like this. Okay, but this is the usual way the planning flows. So in this, I have taken this 5 stage model. So the first thing, developing a strategic vision. Then we have setting objectives, then crafting a strategy to achieve the objectives and vision, then implementing and executing the strategy. Then we have monitoring developments, evaluating the performance and making the corrective adjustments. Okay, these are the 5 broad stages. Now let's see each stage in detail. The first thing, developing a strategic vision. Okay, so by this time you would have already come across with the term vision and mission of the business. Vision is the broader purpose, or the where the company wants to see it after few years. Again, mission, what is that actual activity that they are doing to reach to that vision, to achieve that vision. Vision is already on a very broader scale. Mission is to achieve that vision, what is that course of action that they are taking, that's mission. So now in this stage, for any strategy, there has to be a vision. Like, what is the outcome that they want to achieve finally in the long run? I was taking the example of say Lifebuoy. What is the vision? The vision may be to create a healthy society. So through their products. So they had initially they had that original type of soap, and of course later the other variants and other products have come up. The vision is to create a healthy society. Now, to create that healthy society, what is that they have to do? Okay, so through its, what are the changes that they have to make? So you can see the slide here. First, a company must determine what directional path the company should take and what changes in the company's product, market, customer, technology. What are the changes that is needed to achieve that vision? Okay, how I can transform my product, or how I can have a different marketing strategy, or what are the different customer base. Again, Lifebuoy would have come up with the baby products. That means their customer base has changed. Before they were going on for use of products were focused on adults, and then it shifted to say baby products. Suppose Lifebuoy comes with a baby soap, baby powder, all baby products. That means there is a change in the customer base and the technology. What is the technology that they are using in their production process mainly? Okay. So first stage, they have to identify what is their vision, and to achieve that vision, what is that change right now that they want to take in all these parameters. So the main focus in this stage is to improve the correct market position and its future prospect. So here I am doing all these exercise, framing my vision and seeing what is the change needed, mainly to improve my current market position and also the future prospect of the product. Maybe at one point of time, again I am coming back to the Lifebuoy example, they had realized that there are so many other soap manufacturing in the have come up in the market, and they have come up with the fancy fragrance, fancy names. Some promises that you will become very fair, some promises you will become very young if you use this, some promises this is the soap which all the heroines wear, some say that this is purely made up of milk and roses, almonds, honey, etc., etc. Isn't it? That means they identified, but Lifebuoy never had any such concept. It was just one big red brick size soap which used to long lasting and which was economical and which was used by many people. But later they realized, no, this will not work. As there are so many competitors, I have to change my approach. Then they identified what are the new variants that they can bring. So they come up with something like Lifebuoy Gold or Beauty something, mainly focusing on the female customers. And then of course they have come up with the hand washes. Again, hand washes, different fragrances. Okay. So they have identified a vision, what they have to do and what are the changes that they have to bring. And the second stage, setting objectives. So here objectives, basically here you are zeroing down it into the quantitative. Of course, I have a broad vision. I want to say I want to create a healthy society through my products. Now here you have to quantify it. Objectives represent the quantum of growth that the firm seeks to achieve and in the given time frame. Like what is the time frame within which I want to operate this, and what is the quantity of the change that I want to bring. So here I would clearly write down my objective. So my objective is to increase the market share of Lifebuoy, or to, in the soap industry, to take the market share of say nearly 30%, or increase the sales by say 50%. So here I am quantifying my in a measurable, what do you call, outcome. And what is the time frame, this whatever the strategy I am making, what is the time frame within which I have to keep it operational. Okay. So all those things are set in the second stage, where I am quantifying my outcome and I am setting the time frame for my objectives to be accomplished. Okay. So through the objective setting, firm is tackling the environment and deciding the locus it should have in the environment. Yeah, as I said, I am doing the marketing positioning. Suppose Lifebuoy came up with the Lifebuoy Gold. So there the positioning was, if I'm not wrong, I still remember the ad. So the thing was on giving a soft skin. So the original Lifebuoy never had that soft skin concept. Even in the ads, they used to only male used to come. But when they started this Lifebuoy Gold, so they came up with a female artist in the advertising, and the focus was it is having milk or something, and it makes the skin glowing and soft. So there they are changing their positioning. Okay, their locus is on the female customers. Then objective provides the basis for its major decisions of the firm, and also set the organizational performance to be realized at each level. So again, they are as I said, they are making a very clear cut. They are cutting this entire vision into measurable outcomes, and at each level what should be. So at the market level, at the functional level, in the organizational level, how this has to be, what are the changes that has to be made. So is basically done in this second stage. Then I have third stage, crafting a strategy to achieve the objectives and vision. So here this is purely like the actual work that they do. So all these two were basically into the planning level. So here they are actually striking the strategy. So this is a game plan that they have made. This is how it should be. So they have come up with the new product. Suppose Lifebuoy, I was taking the example in this session. They have come up with a new brand called Lifebuoy Gold, or they have come up with a new brand called Lifebuoy Hand Wash. So they have defined. So this is the product, and these are the targeted customers, and this is the market share, and this is how it will go. This is the advertisement that should happen, and this is how the marketing, the chain of distribution. This is through wholesalers, through supermarkets, or through retail, or they have a specialized shop. Okay. Anyway, Lifebuoy doesn't have their own special shop. Anyway, it is sold through general stores and departmental stores and supermarkets. Like I'm just giving an example of what is the actual plan that they have come up with. That is in the stage 3, crafting the strategy based on what they have planned in their vision and the objectives. So it has to be very clear, the strategy what they come up with, and it has to be operational. Then the stage 4, very important, implementing and executing. So now they have come up with it, they have come up with the strategy. Now how they are actually going to implement it, how their actual production process and actual delivery of the goods, the distribution channels, so how it actually reaches from the company to the customers. So this is the actual execution. How does this plan, whatever they have made, is put for work. Very important stage, because There's a general saying that, especially for Indians are excellent in planning. They do marvelous planning. But when it comes to implementing and execution, they fail. Even present. Anyway, I just want to quote one example of the present scenario. Right now, we are in a COVID pandemic situation. At the central level, excellent plan came up with the vaccination of all above 18, everyone. So, PM Narendra Modi came up with the plan and they said, and everyone became happy. The plan was to give vaccination to everyone 18 and above. But what happened in the implementation stage? Implementation is a total failure because there is no availability of the vaccine and there is no proper planning done about how much was produced and what would be the demand, what is the number of people who are there from 18 to 44 and how many doses are needed per day, how much to be produced, how much to be procured from outside. Nothing was done. Maybe, or if it was done, it was not effective or so. So this execution has totally failed. Now there is no availability, and right now I think they have put they have given a pause to it. It may happen after few months. So that means planning was excellent, but when it came to implementation and execution, they failed. So this is a very important stage. So this stage would be successful if the background work what they have done at the time of setting objectives and the time of framing the strategy, if those were strong, then of course even at that time itself they should plan for the execution and implementing as well. Okay. So how actually it is put for work and how it is done is the stage 4. Then comes to stage 5. This is the aftermath. After the strategy is being put and implemented, monitoring the developments, evaluating the performance and making corrective adjustments. Of course, when the strategies are framed and objectives are set, vision is made, it is all based on certain assumptions about how the future would be, isn't it? So sometimes it so happen future might change. I mean, whatever the forecast that we had made, the plans we had made might change, isn't it? The situation itself would have been different. So then what happened to the plan that we have made, keeping something else in mind? So here it's important. We have to monitor what are the developments that is happening and evaluate the performance of our present plans and then take the corrective measures if needed. So here I would like to quote the example of Tata Nano. I think in the previous sessions I have given the case study of Tata Nano, how it came into existence. When Ratan Tata was going in his car on a rainy day, he saw one family struggling on a scooter, and then he came up with a plan of what if we make a car which can be affordable by the people who can afford bikes, maybe with some extra investment. So then actually it was a great plan. They came up with a product. Initially people were fascinated about it, and bookings were there for around 2 years before the booking had started, before even the product came. But gradually what happened, maybe the performance or maybe the positioning itself what they had made, that the car for middle class, people maybe didn't want to brand them as a middle class for going that car, or because of the rate they started analyzing the quality, and there were a lot of rumors that it's nothing like but an auto rickshaws engine has been put, only the outer part is of car, something like that. So all those negative remarks came, and slowly the sales decreased, and finally it was zero sales at one point of time. So then they had to stop the production and they had to channelize all those resources what they had, the unit or whatever the labor, whatever the setup, to manufacture a different brand of the same Tata, isn't it? So that means they made a corrective adjustment. So once you had planned, you came up with an idea, you started something, it doesn't mean that it should go forever, not necessary. So maybe the situations change, your performance is not as you had planned. So take a corrective measure. Make the adjustments to your plan or come up with a new plan, discard the old one, start afresh. That's very important in the business scenario or at the personal level as well. So that is the stage 5, which says monitor the development, evaluate the performance, and take the corrective measures or take the corrective adjustments needed to change the or to adapt to the new situation. Yes, so we have come to the end of this session. Mainly in this session, we discussed about the meaning of strategy, strategic planning, and the strategic planning process. Okay, so just to have a quick recap of what we discussed. Strategic planning is very important management activity because it is like the base or core thing that happens at the management level. Without strategy, without strategic planning, no business can cope with any situation. They need to have one backup support or plan or the original idea that they want to accomplish. Anyway, this entire thing is to achieve an objective, and the mainly the planning process or strategic planning includes a step-by-step process of creating and implementing the strategy. So the approach could be top-down approach or bottom-up approach. Top-down approach is where everything happens at the top level and then it is implemented to the bottom or functional level. Or bottom-up approach where the plans are given to the functional level, they will come up with the idea and inform it to the top management, and then there they do some refining and then finally they frame the strategy. So in the strategic planning process, it is actually divided into 5 stages. Again, not rigid, not very rigid. It could be, there may be one more step added, or maybe one stage can be split into 2 different stages, could be. But here I have taken this 5-stage model. First one, developing a vision, strategic vision, clearly identifying what exactly you want to do, where you want to see yourself after that period, creating a vision. Then setting the objectives. It's nothing but your creating the objective or the mission to reach that vision. What is that basically you have to do? So these objectives have to be clear, attainable, time bound. Okay, it has to be realistic. Then after you clearly define your objectives, then craft the strategy, jot it down what is the actual plan that you have, then implement and execute it, then finally monitor the development. Just check, evaluate if it is giving you the outcome as you planned, is it working the way you actually wanted it, or it's not matching for the scenario, present situation. So you need to have some corrections or some adjustments or some alterations to it. Okay, so then your strategic planning would be successful. So with this, I would like to conclude this session. Let's meet in the next session. These are the references which I have taken. You can refer for the further clarification. Thank you very much. Have a great day.